It was the annual company gala, a grand event filled with elegant dresses, expensive suits, and that quiet competition everyone pretends not to notice. My wife, Emily, worked in upper management at a major marketing firm. She was confident, sharp, and beautiful in a way that made people turn heads without her trying. I'd always admired her for that, until that night, when confidence crossed into something else. We arrived together, hand in hand, but I could already feel her slipping into her work mode, that persona she wore at events like armor. As we entered the ballroom, her boss, Mr. Langston, greeted us with a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Emily," he said, ignoring my handshake, "I hope you saved me a dance tonight." She smiled politely. "Of course, sir." I tried not to overthink it. It was just office politics, I told myself. Just keeping up appearances. But when the music started, and he approached her again, this time resting his hand on her waist as they walked to the dance floor, something inside me tightened. She looked back at me with a small, knowing smile, the kind that said, "Don't make a scene." I didn't. I just watched. The lights glowed gold, the crowd applauded, and there she was, my wife, laughing a little too easily, moving a little too close, as her boss whispered something in her ear. I clenched my jaw but stayed seated, my hands folded tightly. The dance was long. Too long. When it finally ended, she returned to our table as if nothing had happened. "You're quiet," she said, sipping her champagne. "Just watching the show," I replied evenly. "You danced well." "It's just part of the job," she said, brushing it off. "You know how these events are. It's about relationships." "I thought our relationship mattered more," I said softly. Her expression flickered, then hardened. "Don't be insecure, Ben. It's not a big deal." I nodded but didn't answer. I wasn't angry, just disappointed. And disappointment has a way of cutting deeper than anger ever could. I excused myself to get some air, stepping out onto the terrace overlooking the city. That's when someone else joined me, a man around my age, tall, dressed sharply, with an easy confidence. "You're Emily's husband, right?" he asked. "Yeah," I said, a little guarded. "And you are?" "Ryan," he said, extending his hand. "I work with her, sort of. Different department." His tone was friendly but curious. "Saw the dance. Rough to watch, huh?" I gave a humorless chuckle. "That obvious?" He shrugged. "Langston likes to test boundaries. Emily's not the first he's tried to show off with. Some people think giving in keeps the peace. But sometimes, you've got to remind them where the real power is." I looked at him, intrigued but cautious. "And how would you do that?" He smiled. "You'll see." A few minutes later, we went back inside. The music had shifted to something faster, livelier, and the floor filled again. Ryan walked over to Emily confidently, said something I couldn't hear, and she laughed, a real laugh this time, not the polite one she gave her boss. Then he held out his hand, and to my surprise, she took it. They danced, not too close, not too far, but with an energy that drew everyone's eyes. Even Langston's. I watched as Ryan subtly spun her away, leading with precision and charm, every move polished and smooth. Emily's laughter was genuine, her posture relaxed, completely different from before. The crowd started cheering, clapping along to the rhythm. Even Langston's forced smile cracked. When the song ended, Ryan bowed slightly, whispered something to her, and stepped back. She looked over at me then, and our eyes met across the room. Her expression had changed, softer now, almost apologetic. She excused herself from the floor and walked over. "He's quite the dancer," I said, half smiling. She sighed, sitting beside me. "You're upset." "Not anymore," I said quietly. "Just watching how quickly the power shifts." She looked down at her hands. "You think I was trying to prove something, weren't you?" I asked. "You wanted to show you were in control. Maybe to your boss. Maybe to me. But control isn't about dancing with the loudest person in the room. It's about knowing when to step away." She didn't answer right away. Then she said softly, "You're right. I thought I needed to look strong in front of everyone. But I forgot who actually supports me when no one's watching." There was a long pause between us, the kind that says more than words ever could. Finally, she reached for my hand. "Let's dance," she said. I hesitated, but she smiled. Please. We walked onto the floor. The next song was slower, quieter. As we moved, her hand rested gently against my chest, her head against my shoulder. I'm sorry, she whispered. You didn't deserve to feel small tonight. I smiled faintly. Neither did you. Around us, the crowd blurred into shadows and light. Her boss stood off to the side, his expression unreadable. Ryan gave me a knowing nod before turning away. In that moment, I realized something simple but powerful. Respect isn't claimed in public, it's earned in private. And sometimes, it takes being humbled to remember what truly matters. When the song ended, she looked at me and said, "You handled yourself with more grace than anyone else tonight." I squeezed her hand gently. "That's because I wasn't dancing for them," I said. "I was dancing for us."